Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and we're producing this episode for Forbes, where I'm a contributor covering social entrepreneurship and impact investing. Our guest today is the consummate social entrepreneur. His name is Mark Horvath, and he is the man behind, the founder of, and the star of InvisiblePeople.tv. He brings to the world interviews with homeless people, giving them a voice and humanizing them. Mark, thank you very much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so very much for having me.
Well, we're excited. Tell us, Mark, how it is that you got started with this amazing show.
Well, first off, I never, ever thought I'd be here. And what I mean by here is running a nonprofit, working for nonprofits, giving my life to fight homelessness. But that's where I am. And so many years ago, I had a great job in the television industry, and I ended up homeless on Hollywood Boulevard. And then I rebuilt my life back to a 3-bedroom house and a new car and success on the horizon. And this thing called the economy just tanked around '08. So layoff, house into foreclosure, layoff, real scary time. I grabbed the camera and I went out and I started interviewing homeless people. And the reason for that was we live in a time where I really believe that we need to be, well, you know, you have the research professor or the politician or the executive director. We need to be hearing from that homeless person themselves. I mean, big brands, whether it be Southwest or Best Buy or everybody else, you know, consumers now have the power. But in homeless services, we're not listening to the people we serve. So that was part of the reason. The other part was, if I put one more resume into Monster.com, I thought I was going to explode. I needed to have purpose. I needed to do something. So what's interesting, and to look at it from an entrepreneurial viewpoint, is I almost didn't do it. And there was a couple reasons that I almost didn't do it that I think are very key points. Is for a week, so I'm Avid Certified, which is a software. Now there's a bunch of different ones, but back, you know, '08, that's what you use to edit TV and movies and everything. And I lost my computer workstation when I lost my house. So I didn't have a computer that could do it. And I said, you know, I'm a TV producer by training. You know, if a video doesn't have B-roll and music and it's all nice and pretty, you know, nobody was going to watch this. And so what I was doing, I was looking at the problem and saying, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. And one day I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. You know, so what? It's not perfect. So what? I can't edit it, you know? And I just put the video up there. And that was the magic, is that authenticity has replaced production value. And people started saying, wow, this is real, and, you know, I can relate to that. I have a brother-in-law or a family member or a sister that has gone through this, and it humanized homeless people. And the other, you know, reason that I almost didn't do it is there was a person I worked with who oh my gosh, he was just a top marketer, and I just respected him. And I said, Brad, I got this idea for a video blog, and should I do it? And he didn't respond. And I almost didn't do it, but I went and did it, and obviously here we are today. Down the road, I asked him, I said, Brad, I asked you and you didn't respond. He goes, oh, I was just busy. But if Brad had said no, I wouldn't have done it. Yeah. So the point is, you know, if you have this crazy idea, you know, don't put all your eggs in somebody else's basket. You know, even your best friend, most knowledgeable or whatever, might not give you the feedback. In the words of the great philosopher Michael Jordan, just do it.
Yeah, great insights. What have you learned from talking to homeless people? I guess you can draw on your own experience, your time of being homeless, but what is it that most of us fail to appreciate about homelessness?
Oh, to me, I think the most important nugget, or what, if you're really to narrow my work down to a simple sentence is people are people. Whether I'm homeless or whether I have a house, I'm still the same human, and I'm still driven by the same social norms. I still have the same needs, wants, desires, dreams, nightmares, everything else. And people, whether you're different in some way, and there's a lot of ways that people are different, we should all be treated the same. And I think that is the most powerful message. I mean, there was a study by Princeton, a research professor did a study that 22 people, it's quoted from the New York Times, 22% of the American public do not believe homeless people have any redeeming value. This is saying a person, a human, a living, breathing person who might have been your neighbor or coworker or, schoolmate or something. They don't have any. That's ridiculous. Now, we could go for weeks and weeks discussing why that is, fear, the economy, or difference, or anything else. But, the direct point of answering your question is my work, when you boil it down, is to show that homeless people are really people. They're just like you and me. However, when I'm going through a crisis, I might not act normal. So a homeless person might not act normal because they're living a crisis every minute.
Yeah. It is such a great insight. Who among us hasn't had an experience where we acted out, whether it was at a party having fun, whether it was because we lost a temper or whatever, and yet the kinds of stressors, the kinds of inputs that cause normal people to do that are the daily, day in, day out experiences of homeless people. That's a great insight. I really appreciate you helping us see that. Now, you have really personalized this, I think, this crusade, if I can call it that. In fact, you told me offline that you were rushed to get here for this interview today because you were coming from a funeral of a homeless friend. Tell us a little bit about how this became so personal to you.
Well, first off, in one of the things that you asked was, in preparation for this interview, is who do you admire? And excuse me if I'm going to get a little emotional, but right now I admire Randy, and I just said goodbye to Randy. So I tweeted out a moment ago when I could a video to Randy. So when I first met Randy, it was about a year ago here in Syracuse, and he was out on the streets. It's winter time. He'd been out sleeping outside for a long time, addicted to alcohol, had very serious major health problems. But thanks to a couple of people that committed to walk alongside him till he got better, and there was 3 or 4 people and then a whole system that actually kicked in, Randy ended up getting into housing. So because he is drinking most of his life, he had very serious health issues, and the doctor actually said that he was to die months ago. And he just passed this last week, and why I admire him so much is, he got out of homeless after being chronically homeless for years and years, and he's told he's going to die in 6 months. Well, the natural reaction is, I'm going to go back to drinking.
Yeah.
And he stayed sober, and, there's just this amazing change in this man. And, we look at courage. And I have to say, Randy had extreme courage to stay the course, knowing that, oh my gosh, I only have a short amount of time to live. And he, got about 6 extra months, which was amazing.
I think that redefines courage in a way that most of us don't appreciate, really. It's really an inspiring story. I really appreciate that. Tell us a little bit about why you keep doing this. The economy is better. You could be doing a lot of things. You can get your editing tools back, your workstations, your software. Why do you keep making these videos?
Well, So first off, I wish that they would stop having impact. But every now and then somebody like you from Ford says, hey, let's do something, so it keeps reaching people. Because if it stops, it's a lot of work, and it's never been a model that you've been able to monetize. So I've always held a second job. I currently work at the Syracuse Rescue Mission, helping the marketing department have more impact in helping homeless people in central New York, which is truly an honor. So it's basically like working 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And just one of them doesn't pay. And,
Yeah.
and both are rewarding and both are amazing, and I'm grateful for both. It's really when I think about quitting, which is often, there's something inside me, and I'm not spooky, but there's like this voice that pops up that says, if not you, who? And, we started off this interview where we were talking about, where I am today and, how'd you get here? And I have to say I've never felt closer to a destiny than I am right now.
Yeah.
And, this year, Invisible People, we are partnering with activists in Washington to help move the Homeless Children's Youth Act through, which is Senator Feinstein and a couple of others. It's in the House and the Senate now at the same time. And we're going to HUD, Housing and Urban Development, does this homeless count. And nothing against HUD, this is how the system has evolved. And they exclude a certain demographic, which are a lot happen to be children and families. So the Department of Education says there's 1.3 million homeless people, and HUD doesn't see about 900,000 of them. And so this legislation, which is the Homeless Children Youth Act, and anybody that's watching, I ask you to go to Google and search it, and then write your congressmen and your representatives and get them to support it, is to just make sure that everybody's counted. I really believe we need to, and rightly so, and the Obama administration has really been pushing to end veterans homelessness, to end chronic homelessness. That effort should not stop. But when you're looking at that, who is our chronic homeless of tomorrow? And that's the children. So if we're ending the back door, we got to worry about the front door too. And we have been having great impact in ending chronic homelessness, but at the same time, because of the economy, the homelessness has changed, and family homelessness and homeless kids keeps increasing at an alarming rate.
That is scary. It is scary. So what else can we do systematically to end homelessness?
Well, I really believe so, and I say this very sincerely, that we should all pick a cause. And you have to pick a cause that's dear and sincere to you. Otherwise, it won't stick. And it's, whether it's global warming or human trafficking or, whatever that cause is, and there's plenty of them, find one and then use your talents to help, fix it, cure it, move it, move the actions forward that will help people. In homelessness, if you're, homelessness is something that is on your radar, and what's exciting is millennials and tomorrow's leaders actually are very interested in homelessness and ending homelessness. So the biggest issue really facing homelessness right now is low-income housing. I recently moved from Los Angeles, where I lived for many, many years, and you drive down Los Angeles and you see new builds that, with a banner that says starting at $1.3 million. You know what I mean?
It's a little out of reach for someone who's just moving out of homelessness.
But that's very serious, and you have that. I was recently at Twitter about 6 months ago with the city of San Francisco talking about gentrification and the issues that you're having. You know, one-bedroom apartments are going for $6,000 a month in Syracuse on Market Street, where you have the poor. You have the same thing going on in New York City, but you have the same thing going on in Syracuse and Binghamton and other areas. That, you know, housing is getting away from what the average person can actually afford.
Yeah, that is a really, I mean, it's an obvious but an important insight. If housing's not affordable, we will have more homeless people, even in a good economy.
Yeah, well,
Maybe
you know,
especially in a good economy.
yeah, homelessness is a very complex issue because it deals with humans, and we are complex. But if you're really going to pinpoint where the biggest issue is, and we're talking not only right now, but in 5 to 10 years, and it's going to affect all of us from the very rich to the very poor, is the lack of a place to live where, you know, somebody that's, you know, working as a dishwasher or, you know, a Taco Bell or someplace in a hotel or entry-level positions, a receptionist, and on so forth, can actually live decently. And then, you know, oh my gosh, you add in the family factor of, you know, a husband and kids, or, you know, oh, there's no place to live anymore.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It's just tragic. Well, you have really made a difference. And everyone who's watching this wants to make a difference. To your point earlier, their passion project may be different than yours, but they want to make a difference. What is one tip you can give us to just help us make a difference?
Well, go to Invisible People. Grab a video, something that touches your heart, and share it. Share it with all your networks. You know, the money donated goes to helping us tell more stories. So there's a donation link, and we greatly need donations, especially with, you know, trying to do some more political actions moving forward in 2015. But I think right now the biggest thing is, again, what the website and the campaign is really about is humanizing homelessness. So the more that you can share those videos with the people that you know, whether it be your Facebook, your Twitter, you know, email them to people, whatever, the more those videos get spread around, the more awareness there is. So just so you know, in funding, which is where some of the issue is in nonprofits, there's never any funding for awareness. There actually should be Robert Edgar, who runs the DC, started DC Central Kitchen, now running the LA Central Kitchen, preaches that, you know, 10% of every grant should be going to awareness, and rightly so, because without the awareness, without reaching the general public, without educating people, that there's really no change. However, there's no funding for it. That's, you know, I mean, even me, I work, you know, another job to be able to, you know, keep making Invisible People running.
Yeah. Well, Mark, you're really an inspiration. We can't thank you enough for being here. Before we go, please tell us again how people can find Invisible People online. Where do they go? How do they connect?
Very cool. So Hardly Normal, at Hardly Normal is my main Twitter madness, and if I get too chatty for you, and I sometimes do, switch over to at Invisible People, which I call Hardly Normal Light, which is 1 or 2 tweets a day about homelessness. It's really targeted, where, you know, Hardly Normal is more the real time, day-to-day, but it also might have a bunch of marketing and social media, and my rants about everything could be mixed in all into one. InvisiblePeople.tv is the main website. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook and everything else. And right when you log on to InvisiblePeople.tv, there's this nice little bar that drops down where you can sign up for our email.
Fantastic. Well, I encourage everyone to do that. All of that, connect with Mark on these channels so you can be a part of the solution, part of getting the message out there. Mark, thank you very much for joining us today. It's just been a joy to meet you, and we wish you every success in your great work.
Well, thank you very much. It's been an honor.
All righty. Let's do some good.